Welcome, welcome, Dr. Pragya ma'am. Happy Women's Day and happy Mahashivratri. I'm Ashi from G.E.M.S. I'm an 8th grader student. Today's participants have come from all over the world. We all are from STEAM Varsity community.
Ma'am, I am Chehek from Team G.E.M.S and I study in class 6. Let me take the opportunity to introduce you to the audience. Dr. Pragya ma'am was born on 1st July 1978 in Kuikol, Sant Kabir Nagar district in the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. She studied at the Saraswati Shishu Mandir in Tanda, Ambedkar Nagar from 1984 to 1989 and attended a Vidyut Parishad Intermediate College, Tanda from 1989 to 1995. She holds a BSc from Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Awadh University. She completed a doctoral degree at the ICMR-National Institute of Virology in affiliation with in 2004. Now you are invited to the lamp lighting.
STEAM Varsity. STEAM Varsity is mainly focused on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. These education-based innovative programs are hands-on experience to empower students for the challenges of the future.
We are Team G.E.M.S at STEAM Varsity. Team G.E.M.S, Girls Enriching and Manifesting STEAM, a group of aspiring girl students, changemakers recruited from different schools and colleges globally at STEAM Varsity, who are dedicated to learn by doing through science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to create impact in the society with girls' power under the guidance of our mentors.
Audience, please turn on your videos. It's a request.
I would like to start the question answer session.
Mom, in your childhood, what inspired you to become a scientist?
Yeah, first I would like to thank all of you, the young girls. I'm so happy to see online. And I introduce you my colleague, Dr. Sri Lakshmi Mohandas. You have seen in the movie. She's a very young scientist and work with us, and she does all the animal experimentation. So I also call to meet the young team of very specific this program which you all doing on your own with the help of your mentors. So Geeta ji, thank you so much, and I'm very glad to be here today. So if I talk about becoming scientist, so as you know, I grown up in North, and in North there was only two careers people thought about. Either you become engineer or you become doctor. So when we were trying to do, and there was a lot of competition to do coaching, go for medical exams. But why I was doing that after the 12th, I realized that you can do something different, because that was the time when HIV emerged in 1980, and we came to know about HIV, and that virus made me so interested that what we can do. And I asked sometime one of my teacher, they said if you do graduation, post graduation, and PhD, then you can become doctor and scientist, and you can do research on these pathogens. So that made me feel little very different feeling. Though that time we respected a lot. There was many scientists, especially Kalamji was the inspiration in young school. And then Marie Curie was the one who all we always followed, because being a chemistry student, and that actually changed my set course of what I have to do. So I applied for a BSc, and I was topper in the rank, and then I got so I started with the zoology, botany, chemistry subject in BSc. Then I choose biochemistry, because you can do the biology and chemistry together. You can learn about microbiology and enzymes and different kind of science which they cover in a PG degree. After that, then I got the fellowship of ICMR and also ICR, which is a fellowship to do the PhD program. And then I joined NIV, which is India's apex facility of viral research. So I came here and I joined initially. So when I joined there, then I came to know that they don't work on HIV. The HIV research was only done in National AIDS Research Institute, but they didn't have that time PhD program for a student. So then I joined one of the very good laboratory where they publish the maximum paper, and they have my mentor was Dr. D.T. Maurya, who used to work on vector biology. So I started working on mosquitoes immune response, which was a very unique and new field for me. And then so what happened to mosquito immune response if they get infection with dengue mosquitoes? You know, the dengue is very prominent endemic disease in India and many other CR member state as well. So I started learning about dengue disease, mosquitoes, and then first time we saw the mosquito so closely. So this was my journey of beginning of my research program. Thank you.
Ma'am, what were all the challenges you faced in your childhood and how did you solve them?
So when we were studying, we stayed in a colony where we have so schooling was easy, because till 12 we had this school, we were studying, but after that there was no college. So the major challenge that and my family, I have four brothers in my home. So for the boys it was easy to go study outside. At that time they didn't have this girls hostel culture or paying guest culture in the colleges. But then because I wanted to do, so my father supported, and three of our classmates together we went to do our graduation. And then we stayed in a paying guest house kind of accommodation arrangements, and we cooked our food every day because there was no food. It was a very small city, it's called Faizabad, which is very close to Ayodhya, the temple which you all have seen recently. So it's 3 kilometers away from Ayodhya, and then we stayed there. We cooked for ourselves, and then we used to go college. We study. So we learn at very early age that if you want to dream, if you want to become something, you have to do at any cost, and you have to adopt as per the situation and time. So many times we face the problem of electricity, because it was a small city where electricity used to go. So and many time we studied in the lab, the kerosene lab, which we don't see in the city. I stay in Puri city. You have DZ backup, you have a many system in house, and the children don't even know that there is a electricity cut out. So we
Yeah.
go like that, and during the summer season when we have exams, it used to be very hot summers, and the exam used to happen between 2 to 5. So you have to cook for yourself, and then you have to give the exams. You have to prepare for your exam. So it was kind of a journey, but we always motivated ourselves that we want to do this and we have to proceed. So we struggle a bit in the beginning. We were young and it was not a very safe place for the young girls, but we always went together, all three girls, for the school, for the college. We come back, we study together, we go for the even vegetable shopping. So it was, yes, a journey to reach to the to the science. So, and if you say about the problem, so definitely in the beginning when we were child in the science experiment. So I give example in the class 4 there is an experiment. Recently I saw in my son's book also that how you prove that fire require oxygen. And in the same class, in the class 4, the teacher asked the same questions to every child. So some people who read the books, they imagine, okay, you require so many things, you need this, that, and they will look at the table, where are those other materials to prove that oxygen is required. But the small children would just take a glass and then cover that candle, and then it will go off, and you can simply prove that there is a requirement of oxygen. So how you can think very fast in the field of science and tweak your mind with the available material around is also one of the scientific learning. So which we started learning at a very early age.
Mom, what were the subjects that you liked in your childhood?
So the chemistry was my favorite subject. That's why I choose the biochemistry when I went for post graduation. But while I was studying during my post graduation, zoology, botany, chemistry, so somehow I got fall in the love with the endocrinology, where you study the hormones, and I was
Yes.
very fascinated to know. And then my mind changed. I want to do PhD in endocrinology. So you will see this. You will have 10 100 dreams in between when you progress and you reach to your aim. So then I suddenly want to do my PhD. So we went and we gave an exam in SGPGI, and we got clear for the written exam. SGPGI is one of the very prominent research institute and also the hospital in Lucknow. But when I go for interview, the guide said, I don't want a girl PhD student, because there is a lot of field work where you have to go collect the specimen, go to field and do work. So he rejected. But sometime, what I want to tell you, the rejection means that you mean to do something better. And I think that rejection, that time I was very sad. I was, because many of my colleagues got selected in PGI, they work in genetics, they are scientists across different sectors. But I was very sad. I was the topmost student in my PG, and why I was not selected. But later on, when I joined an IB, I become scientist, and then I could do something better in virology. Then I go back and think, oh, that rejection was good for me. So sometime as a young girl, you get rejected, you fail in your life, but it doesn't mean that that it is a failure. It means that you are mean to do something better, something bigger, and you don't see now, but in the future you will see that.
Ma'am, were you also into sports? And if yes, what was your favorite sport?
So not much of a sport, because I was the only girl child in house. So everybody was too protective. But we play some cricket. I think that was the most fascinating sport of childhood, which we played. I played with my brothers, and in house also we played some in-house game like Ludo and Carom, which was favorite game during the summer season.
Ma'am, were you a serious or a naughty child in your school?
I was very serious. It seems I was more of a book reading person, under the bed hiding, nobody is so disturbed, and I can read all the books possibly. So I was very serious and quiet child, rather, you can say.
Ma'am, were you same as were you the same in your school life, or you changed in college?
So in the school, I was again very quiet child and spoke very less. But as I grown, then I developed my personality to be kind of very a fighter kind of person. So if somebody says something wrong, somebody says something which is not good, then I will fight for it. Then I will speak very firmly. And then I realized that I'm no more introvert person. And so it was a change of personality with the time. And I think when we went to college and we struggled with the daily lives, then that made us more strong, and then I become more strong to travel alone, do things on my own. That changed my personality as well.
Mom, what were the extra activities apart from your studies in your college life that made you excel in your career?
So if I was not a scientist, I could have chosen being a singer, because I always loved the singing very much. And in the school, we were a team of 3, 4 girls who were singing in each occasion. Like if there's a program, there is a prayer. Even we made our singing correlated with yoga, so people can do yoga with the singing rhythm. So I think that was one of the best hobby which I really loved. And I met some of my very old schoolmates after this vaccine thing become famous. They contacted me, and they always only remember that we had sang together. Nobody remembered what we studied, but they remember that how many songs we had together in different programs. So that was one of the very favorite hobby, to listen the music and sing it.
Ma'am, you had such a great experience and learning in science. Usually, people get so many offers and opportunities to go internationally and go outside the country and work there. But what motivated you to stay in India and work for ICMR?
So when I finished my PhD and I joined NIV as a scientist, after that, I got an opportunity to do my postdoc in Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which is the topmost public health institute in USA in Atlanta City. While I was doing my fellowship of 1 year, I got many opportunity that I can leave the job of ICMR and then I can stay there. But I think from beginning, I was very clear that I want to serve my country. So in fact, when I started my career, my younger brother, the youngest one, used to ask, Mama, what ICMR has done, what you are doing, what you contribute to society. And I had no answer because I was so young. But with the time we work, and now he see clearly and say, Didi, I was so stupid. I used to ask all these questions to you, and at that time I had no answer. But with the time we developed. So before the vaccine, actually, we were working in this institute for many years. So we developed the first BSL-3 facility where you can handle the high risk group of pathogen in India, which was also Asia's first BSL-3 facility. And then we developed first BSL-4 facility where we can work on these dangerous pathogen. And I'll share a pictures. Maybe I can show you one picture where you can see what kind of PP we use. So this is sorry, 1 second. So if you see this picture, so this is the first picture actually talk about the BSL-3 personal protective equipment. The second picture is about a BSL-4 working personal protective equipment. So which is we also call positive pressure suit, and we wear this suit, and this yellow hoses is connected, and we breathe through this yellow hoses. So it's a completely airtight suit. There is no air inside. But with this yellow hoses, we get the air and we work. So it's like if you have seen the moon movies where people walk on moon and they have this connection. So similar kind of work culture we develop. And this is the first Asia's laboratory which has such infrastructure to do such dangerous work in facilities, handle the viruses. So slowly, but to do that, I also went many time abroad. Like I went Japan, in Hokkaido University, we learn on zoonosis. And my other colleagues also keep going in different training programs to learn, because while we were working, we also need to learn. We also need to see what other people are doing, or what other scientists are. If they are doing better, can we adopt something from them? We also went to Boston University where they developed this huge BSL-4, and then we learned from them how they are establishing their laboratory. So we went to many places, we come back and then we establish this. But now we also support many other countries, for example, Nepal, Bhutan, to establish their laboratory to do the research, do the diagnosis. And also we do a lot of training, not for Indian scientists, but also from other countries. So India become a known place for science now, which we always thought that we have to go abroad, we have to be doing something. prior to us also, like Dr. Kalam established the missiles. ISRO has now a very good scientific team for space research. But these are all slowly developed by indigenous efforts by a large number of scientists who work in our country. So I think we have very good environment here today. We don't have to go abroad, and we can do a lot of good science in India as such.
So what attracted you toward virology and inspired you to be a virologist?
Thank you. So I think the HIV was the one very interesting disease which caused a problem, and it is spread sexually to others. That was the first disease when I read was I felt very, very interesting, because in the childhood, like you all know much about dengue disease names, you know so much about COVID. See, young children also know a lot nowadays, but in our childhood, we were not so much taught about these diseases. So HIV, I read somewhere and I felt very fascinating. Regarding the biology, I think because as I told, everybody wanted to become doctor. So you are reading the biology, you are studying the biology. And nowadays, they don't allow you to do the dissection. But in our time, we had a chance to do the dissection of earthworm, cockroaches, and somehow I never liked them very much. Because I was a vegetarian, I always feel like we are killing the kill animals, like that kind of concept comes in mind. But now we are the one who has done so many animal experiments, which Sri Lakshmi was sitting with us. But these are all experiments which we do is all for the benefit of the human being, where we are thinking that maybe some small sacrifices can lead to the bigger benefit to human being.
Ma'am, how does your lab look like? Like, we are curious to know that as like a small virus is so dangerous, and you work with them with almost every day. So, how do you protect yourself and your team while handling the viruses?
So it's like any other institute, like you have offices, you have laboratories. So not all the laboratories are having infectious virus, but it's a huge facility of our 5,000 square meter. And then there is a specific area of around 3,000 square meter where we do the work. And in that particular area, only those people who work are having very highly skilled and trained, and they work many years. They have been trained, they show their efficacy, but prior to working in that lab, you should have some technical expertise. For example, the veterinary person has ability to handle the animals. If you're a tissue culture person, you know how to do tissue culture technique. And then they work for 6 months, and then so they are very, very highly trained. And another point which I would like, so these laboratories, though we handle the dangerous pathogen, but they are made in a way that you don't get infected, because these are very infectious viruses, and if a person get infected, they can carry to the community, and then it can lead to the transmission in the community. So our the first job is to secure the community. Say so nothing should go or leak from the lab. So that is the first and most important duty of us to do. So all the protocols, standard operating procedures are being taught people, and who don't fit or they don't follow, they don't go to the lab. They are denied, and they are transferred to the lower facility where they can do their work easily. So that's how we assure that nobody get infected in the lab.
Ma'am, do you think our nation needs more virologists? And what is the demand and scope in this field? Ma'am, how do you see the future of virology evolution, particularly in terms of opportunities for women and underrated people?
So it's a very good question. So I just would like to take you in 2009, when we call swine flu, but it's actually scientifically is called H1N1. Infection was spread, and also it's declared as a pandemic because it affected almost all the globe and many countries, and it was also affected India. So that was a time when this crisis led to the thinking that is an IV sufficient to deal with such a crisis? And our population is so big, country geography is very wide. So then Government of India and the Department of Health Research has this scheme is called VRDL network. So they launched this VRDL network, and now this network is across the country. 157 in number, and these are the laboratory who are trained, and they did all the testing in COVID time in the initial phase when we detected the cases in January, but with that NIV was not sufficient. So quickly they keep constantly we train them on different aspect, and regularly they screen 27 viral diseases every single day, because these laboratories are sitting across the country in all the medical colleges. And after the pandemic, now government has got a gazette, and that gazette speak that each medical college should have a virology lab. So it means there is a very bright future for microbiologists, virologists to get and work in these laboratories. But not only that, during the pandemic, we realized even 157 was not enough. So what they did, then they also included all the private laboratories, government laboratories, where there is an infrastructure of the PCR, virus handling, biosafety cabinet. And then now we have 3,300 laboratory across the country who can do the diagnosis. So now India has a bigger infrastructure, which anybody thought in the past. Not only that, now the government of India has launched a program is called One Health Mission. Under One Health Mission, there is a coordination of 7 ministries that include ICMR, DBT, CSIR, ICR, and they are trying to bring all these sectors in a way that we can address to One Health. For example, if there is a disease doesn't happen always human to human. It can also happen from animal to human, and then we can also transmit from human to animal. So to address, and then also it can go to affect the environment, it can do other sector to be also affected. So we have to address in a cohesive manner, and that's why now we will have one health laboratory across the country, and all these sector has to work together. So all the ministries can respond to any public health emergency or next pandemic in a better manner for the future. If you talk about the women, so when we started our career, our madam started their career, that time females were less in number. They were more in teaching. But now, if you look at the generation where we are standing, there is almost 20% representation in all the STEM field, including the research, engineering, everywhere. But that is not enough. We have to reach to the 50% because we represent 50% of population. And your generation, I think, will take to that to the number to 50%. So we look forward for this coming generation to be participating more in STEM and adding to these numbers and taking more leadership role as well.
What is the process to make the COVID-19 vaccine?
Can you please repeat your question?
What is the process of to make the COVID-19 vaccine?
So I would like to show you slide to explain my young team here.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, just I'll upload. So to make any vaccine, what we do, the first thing you have to do that you make a vaccine candidate. So the vaccine can be anything. Vaccine could be inactivated vaccine. It could be a live attenuated vaccine, or it could be messenger RNA, which came during the COVID pandemic, DNA vaccine, or it could be any kind of vaccine. But in this process, just looking for a specific slide for, yeah, I got it. So in this process, the first thing to choose which kind of vaccine you want to make. And after you decide that which vaccine you want to make, then you have to do preclinical study. Means you take your candidate and you go to the small animal model. It could be rodent, it could be rats, it could be mouse. And then you give these vaccines to these animals and see if they are having any immunogenicity, if they are producing antibody. And if you challenge with the virus to them, they can survive, they can be protected. But after that, you also go for some higher animal. For example, you can take the non-human primates, we also call monkeys, and they are of different category. They call green monkey, langoose, but not every animal will be susceptible for all the viruses. So you also need to understand that which vaccine is suitable for which animal model. So you choose your right animal model and then you do study. So for the challenge study, what we do, we first give the vaccines to these animals. And then after that, when they develop the antibodies, then we infect them with the live virus. And after the live virus, if their health is fine, if they don't develop disease, it means that vaccine is already given some immunity to them, and that's why they are protected. And with these experiments, we always have a control group. In science, we always work on the control group versus your experimental groups. In the control group, there will be group where only when there is no vaccine given, and then you only give the virus, and then you compare with these vaccinated plus virus group versus only virus group, and then you see how the health of these animals. And there are a lot of experimental study data to accumulate later on to understand what happened to that. Once you prove that the vaccine, so the first thing comes is the safety. The vaccine should be safe to animal, then only it can go to the human being. Second, it should be immunogenicity and also the antigenic. After that, we take to the small number of human cohort where we give the vaccine and only we monitor. The first thing is the safety. If there is no side effect, there is no teratogenicity, no deaths, or no any of the symptom which can lead to morbidity or mortality, then this will be taken to a larger group in phase 2, where we study the immunogenicity and also the antigenicity. If that is also fine, then we take to the third group, that's called phase 3 trial, where we take two cohorts. One cohort is given vaccine, and then they are in a community where the disease is going on, and there is a cohort which is marked, but they are not given vaccine. And then you monitor them in a given time if they are getting infection or not. And based on the infection ratio, you understand their efficacy of the vaccine. So this is a process of the vaccine making, which used to take many years. But in COVID pandemic, people came up with the there was a lockdown in COVID pandemic, so you can't do official meetings. There is a lot of paperwork involved, approval involved, many committees. For example, if you want to do any animal experiment or any scientific study, you have to go to scientific approvals, animal authority approvals. If you are bringing animals from forest or from any body, you have. So a lot of approval took years and years. Some of the experiment we did in the past took 5 years to procure monkey for experiment. But during the COVID pandemic, because of the urgency and everybody could understand it's important, and so everybody helped to do online deposition of data, meeting, and it was fast track. But none of the processes which we involve in the vaccine was shortcuts. Another thought which people are doing now, that we should have vaccine platform in the future which can be done in 100 days. We are talking here now years to 10 months, because most of the COVID vaccine was made in 10 months, 9 to 10 months. For example, Covaxin, we isolated virus in March, and in January, government gave the approval because we already have all the data. But for the future, people are saying we should have vaccine in 100 days. So you questions come how it is possible. So they are saying that you should get the genomic sequencing of virus. You synthesize your vaccine. That will be done in 48 hours. That's the plan. And then you take to the animal models, and within 30 days, you get the data. Then you take to the preclinical. And then, the process should be so fast track that at 100 days, you should have a vaccine candidate to be given to affected community.
Ma'am, I had a question too.
Yes, please go ahead.
When experimenting with viruses like, for example, COVID, do you have any fears? Were you scared of anything when you were?
So because COVID was a new disease, so we always have fear for the new disease, because we don't know what will happen to you, and there is no treatment if something happened to you. So in the beginning, yes, they were scared, but at the same time, our team, which working with the COVID, they have been working on other high risk group of pathogens which are more dangerous than COVID. So the COVID mortality is only 2%, but we work on Nipah virus, which mortality is 100%. We work on Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, which is again 30 to 70% mortality and no treatment. So this team is quite well trained, and they don't have fear to work, and they also know how to protect them. So there was no fear, but there was only one fear, that if if somebody go in a community and then they stay at home and somebody get infected, so they can be infected and come to the workplace and then they can infect other colleagues. So that will hamper our experiment. So if the very key person get infected, they will be isolated and we would not able to do the experiment. So that was the main concern. And to address, we did every weekly testing of the people, and if they talk any symptoms or anything which was related to COVID, they were immediately tested. And if somebody came positive, then they were isolated and sent home. So that was the kind of constantly we followed every individual. There was one medical doctor who interview every day on the gate when they're coming to work, that if they have any symptoms, if they have anything. So that was taken care by this me.
I think Jasmeet also have a question. Jasmeet, you can continue. You can ask her.
Feel that you not feel cringe to touching the insects?
No. So by young children, they get, so sometimes if the peasant come in our house or maybe, so they are very afraid, but we are not afraid. But at your age, I think I must be very afraid too. But now we don't, because we work on so many animals, insects, and we are fine to handle them now. Thank you.
Ma'am, Shweta has also raised her hand. Shweta, please ask your question. Shweta, please ask your question.
You're not audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible. Yes, please continue.
Yeah, very good evening. First of all, I would like to say, ma'am, that am I still not? Yeah, I just want to say that we are really during COVID. My question is uh, what there is behind the spread of COVID is many people are having silent attacks, and it's been said that the people who were at, who suffered during COVID season and who had severe COVID at that time may have this risk of silent attacks. Is this true?
So very relevant question. So to address this, there was a study done by ICMR, which is published in Indian Journal of Medical Research. But there are many other study also which address this issue, that those people who got COVID, somehow definitely their lung and other organs are affected. And in that study, what they found, that those people who did not take vaccine, or if they have comorbidity, like they have diabetes, heart conditions, or they are having blood pressure. So those people have a high risk of having heart attacks and also the deaths. So they should be taking more care, not having the rigorous exercise and lifestyle, which can put them in the risk. So yes, but initially people were blaming the vaccine, but the study came out and they just proven no, it's not vaccine. It's the COVID infection which is leading to these kind of problems. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, first of all, lots of gratitude, I would say, because we are really meeting the COVID warrior. आपको भी और आपकी पूरी family को भी, that you know, they are supporting you and you are really fighting the enemy, which is not visible at all. But really, thank you so much. So Shichi had played that vaccine war. Somehow I'm not able to connect the ICMR with the vaccine war. I know it is connected, but what exactly is the role?
So in actually all the science bodies, either it's the ICMR, ICR, DBT, DST. So ICMR is our headquarter, who has all the funding authorities to recruit and deploy all the money across the country. Under ICMR, we have 27 institutes, and ICMR NIV is one of the institute. So, and these in headquarters, they have different sections which led by different scientists, and One of the section is called communicable disease, which led by Dr. Nivedita. So these sections are responsible to coordinate the research through these institutes. So that's how ICMR and IB work. So if there is any problem, for example, if there is a new disease appear in our country, so headquarter will immediately call the meeting and then they will provide funding us to do the disease. But they also coordinate in the research. If I want to do a clinical trial, so they will bring all those institutes of the similar interest and ask them to work together. So they also coordinate these study. And also because our secretary and director general is head of that organization. So being headquartered, they also carry forward the message of PMO or health minister that what is our priority in country and which is passed on to us and then we do the research. So our job is to do the pure research and their job is to do management, coordination and running these programs. But they are also the funding a body for intramural research and also extramural research. So that's how
So the vaccine war movie, how is that related?
So the vaccine, so after we made this vaccine with Bharat Biotech, Dr. Bhargava wrote a book, is called Going Viral. So the movie director, he got very motivated after reading that book. And then we had this launch of the book in Delhi, which was narrated by Times of India editor Navika Kumar. And then we discussed how the vaccine was made, and there was many people came from government and from ministry, and this whole journey was discussed. So he got motivated, and then he came to an ICMR. First, he came to ICMR to meet Dr. Bhargava, and he said, "Can I make a vaccine movie?" The reason was in India we want, as I said in the beginning, we want to become doctor, we want to engineer, but who say that you want to be a biological scientist? ISRO has made a new set of example where children really want to do the space research. But what about the biology students? So he said, I want to make a movie to motivate the young students who are studying biology, to make them realize that India has a scope in pharmaceuticals, in a biology field too. And India is a hub for pharmacological research, because we have very big institution like Serum, Bharat Biotech, and many other pharmaceuticals. They are making billions of the vaccines, supplying to. So I think 75% of the vaccines are now made in India. But our children are not having that much proud to do the PhD, are doing the research. So he just wanted to take this agenda forward. That's why he made the movie. And then he met many people, he drafted the story, and then he made this movie. So
we can see live ICMR labs there. I have not seen the movie. I will be the first one now to watch that movie.
Yes, you can watch on Hotstar. So that movie, because it's a very high secured zone where we are sitting, so we can't shoot the movie. But another laboratory, which is ICMR lab in Hyderabad, so that movie was shot in Hyderabad. They have similar kind of structure. It's not the same lab, but we try to use the same kind of PP. And Sri Lakshmi is the one who leaded the team to shoot, because they didn't know how to shoot it. So that's why I call her, please come and meet this young girls. So, and just say hello to them. So that's how this movie was made.
Okay, thank you so much. I had another question also. Shweta just slightly picked it up. So how do you make sure that whatever vaccine we are developing will be fine, say after 5 years, because we can't wait for 5 years. So is there any process to check, like to let the time pass and see how it will affect after say 5 years?
So, vaccine is live with the responsibilities with the vaccine manufacturing companies, and they have a lot of audits. And they also connected, if it is a WHO approved vaccine, then WHO do the audits. If it is a national approved vaccine, so then the DCGI is supposed to do audits and look at the quality of the vaccine. But at the same time, because COVID was a new vaccine, new disease, so we are still studying the vaccine. So what happened to people who got infected? What happened to those people who got booster doses? Even in one of the study we did in Gorakhpur for the young children. So there was a cohort, 20 people's cohort, where they got first Covaxin, and then by mistake they got Covaxin. They mixed up at the center when the crowd was very huge. So they got two different vaccine when the heterologous vaccine was not approved. So we even followed those people, and then we did a study with 2 years, and we followed them, and they did well. So if there is any such kind of thing, the long-term studies are being conducted, and we are still studying how these variants are affecting the human being, and their different studies are still going. Still, it's being conduct a lot of animal experimentation whenever there is a new variants emerge, and then we see if there is a more pathogenic, if they can affect our community in any way. So that studies is still going on.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Now I would ask Deepthi to ask a question, please.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. What are the worldwide and overall challenges that you were dealing while making this first indigenous vaccine of India?
So the first challenge was the lockdown, because in March 24, you all remember there was a lockdown, and we got this virus in first week of March. As soon as we started to start working, there was a countrywide lockdown. So nothing was moving, and we wanted to have the animals from Hyderabad. We wanted to reagents bringing from abroad. So these were the first challenges. But later we realized that what if people get infected, where they will go, where they will be admitted, because there was no hospital that time ready to take such infected people. What if people get infected while working on these viruses? That was the third main concern. But that was not all. We have very young scientists, and we also have young technician who have the small children at home, and no support is there. Now because of lockdown, there is no maid is coming. So these were some of the very challenges which we need to address. So we started ICMR, the first time government approved for the flexible time, that people can come early, people can also come late, but they have to complete the work. So we work on these change modality, which all the companies followed, but in a government sector, we also we adopted. And whenever there was an issue, we just thought how we can address the problem. So rather just sticking to the protocols, rules, we little bit molded ourselves to looking for the answers, how we have the solutions. And then, and whenever there was somebody if not helping, then you explain then how much important this work to the community. And people realize and understood, and they support it. It was a tough journey for everybody, but finally we are here today.
Since
I have also one question, ma'am.
Yes.
Continue to this last question from Dipti. At any point of time, means during COVID, you felt like about to giving up? Any point during?
So when we were doing this animal experiment, and before we go to the main experiment, we did some trial animal experiment. Where one of the monkey died in that trial, and then that time we failed. Oh my God, we are going to kill these animals before even we get the data. So that was a very, very tough time. But then my husband, who is a colonel in army and is a neurosurgeon, then he joined our team, and then he helped us to proceed through this whole team. So everybody work in a very army specific protocol with the timing following procedures were repeated many times, and then we made a pakka time wise protocol that this process has to be done in 10 minutes. This process has to be done in 15. So we had like a drill of all the process, and then we become confident that we able to do the whole experiment.
Okay, yes, that scene we have watched in the movie as well.
Yes.
10-minute procedure.
Yes, so it was a kind of a journey.
Mom, since November 23, many people have been facing COVID-like symptoms, cough, cold, fever, etc. Mom, is it a form of COVID? If yes, when do we expect COVID-19 to vanish from Earth completely?
It's very good question. So I would like to tell you that before COVID, there are still many respiratory infection, and it's called RI. Mostly when you go to doctor, they will say viral infection. And it sometimes these infections are dangerous, and sometimes they just come and go. Like it's a seasonal flu. We call it that you will have mild fever, you will have cough cold, you will suffer some days. But sometimes there is some bacterial infection also, which can cause similar kind of infection. So if it is bacterial, then doctor give you antibiotic. But many time it is viral, then they will give you paracetamol and some home remedy to follow. So this after COVID, people has got so during the COVID, you must have realized that nobody was having those problems because we were under lockdown, we were sitting in home, so nobody was infecting. But now it's open environment, and the young children, those have not gone to school, when they started going to school, they are very susceptible to these infections. So they get infected, they bring home, and then other sisters and also the parents are getting sick. So it's very commonly happening. And in the when the school opened, especially the children between 3 to 6 years, they suffered a lot because that they didn't have the immunity against the different kind of bacterial and viral infections, and they were going multiple times to visiting the doctors. But after 2 years, they have now developed some immunity and they are doing better. So what I'm trying to say that there are other infection too. So that's why when we screening now the viral infection, we also screening COVID and other respiratory infection. And regarding the disappearing, it seems very difficult because it has established very well and it is adopting as much as possible. So COVID is still very much circulating across the world. And when the H1N1 appeared in 2009, people thought it will go up, but H1N1 is still existing and is going on. But with the time, we expect because of our increased hybrid immunity and those kind of manners, it won't affect much of us, but it will stay. It will cause you infections. It will cause you, make you sick for a while, and then you should recover. But these harmless teeny mini viruses can affect the people who have a compromised immunity, or those people who are having such already some infection and they are on under drugs. So they can definitely harm them in bad way than younger child or the adult population. So they will be risk for them.
We searched that you have an expertise in Nipah, Ebola, and many more. But since Kerala is like combating with Nipah virus, are you working on a vaccine for that also? And what are some other vaccines that you are working on too?
Very good question. Dr. Srilakshmi is from Kerala and she speaks Malayalam as well. So regarding this, Nipah is not, prior we detected Nipah in Kerala, it was detected in West Bengal, which is a adjoining country with Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is very much endemic to Nipah virus. So regarding the vaccine, these are the diseases which come and disappear very quickly. So the vaccine would be suitable for the medical doctor, nurses who treat the patient, and also the people who stay very close contact with the bats, because bats are the reservoir for the disease. So yes, we are making efforts to make the vaccine, but the best way to handle this disease would be having antivirals and monoclonal therapy, where you, when the patient get infected, you can treat them. So that treatment, we are working on it. Hopefully in future, we should have some good treatment for this disease as well. Very good question. Thank you.
Ma'am, how did you manage the pressure and workload at the time of the pandemic?
It's a good question. It was very tough time, but as you know that if there is a somebody who is posted on border, so they know that their duty is to fight against the enemy, even though if you have to sacrifice your life. So similarly, we are virologists and we have been trained to do this job. So when the emergency came, it was our duty to do whatever pain or tiredness or anything happened to us. So that is kind of part of our duty, and when there is a sense of responsibility. So yes, it make you tired, it make you feel many times it's like nothing is going to happen, frustrating as well. But I think the hope which we always carried, that if we make this vaccine, then tomorrow will be better. Then my children will go to school. So that hope actually push us do our work.
Ma'am, what were the challenges that you faced while executing the COVID-19 vaccine? As we know that in India, there are many beliefs of people that it might be dangerous, or we don't want to take it, and all those. So, ma'am, how did you overcome that thing?
So, so the vaccination, immunization is a complete different program under Ministry of Health, and they manage this program, and they have huge infrastructure. So just remind you regarding, if you remember when the pulse polio program happened, how they even come to your door to door, they'll give vaccine, they will make sure that every child is given vaccine. So India has developed very good immunization program across the country. But in COVID, people realize there are certain area which is not reachable. For example, in very, very remote areas of mountains or in the northeast. So they came up with the ideas of sending these drones with the vaccine, and then it can reach and some healthcare worker can immunize them. So this infrastructure was already there, but in pandemic, they made this COVID app more user friendly where everybody can enroll it, and then they can also monitor how many people got vaccinated. So
Yes.
this is all efforts of Ministry of Health, Government of India, and we are really thankful that they did such a, and of course the people who made efforts to do that. So just to tell you, some of the people in Ladakh and Leh, they actually walked 10 days to reach to some of the destination to give just vaccination of polio. So very, very dedicated healthcare worker, ASA care worker, they work in this field to deliver the vaccine in India.
Ma'am, now I would like to ask Deepti to ask a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, did you think that there is any technological system, or like we can work on it?
Can you please repeat? Some break was there in statement.
Do
Can you
you
repeat?
think there are any technological deficiency you faced while executing the whole program?
So if you say technological difficulty, so we also the first thing that we didn't have PP in India in the beginning. We import all the PP. Second, we import all the equipments from abroad. The third and most important, we also import all the reagents from abroad. So to break that actually monotonous kind of thing. So if tomorrow somebody block India, we can't get it, which happened also. There was a time when Serum Institute was not able to get some particular plastic where which they require for the vaccine, and India has to make extraordinary effort to bring it. So during this COVID pandemic, it was realized, and government has made sure that they had started this indigenous program efforts that we should make everything in India, and now we make a lot of things inside the country. So that effort is going on, but yes, the pandemic also showed that what we are missing in our system.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us. Now I would request Monica, ma'am, to please say a few words.
Yes, Ash. Today, hello, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well in their lives. So today, as we gather on this platform to celebrate International Women's Day, let me take a moment to express our heartfelt thank you to Pragya ma'am and her subordinate Miss Lakshmi. So yes, as this is widely recognized, your efforts during the COVID-19 challenging time, you were stood like a strong pillar or a steadfast pillar of ICMR NIV. Your dedication, brilliance, and your strong attitude towards this virus were really inspiring to every woman around the globe. May your example is Sichi, wait, we are continuing it. May your example inspire us and every one of us to achieve our dreams, so like you have done in your life. With this, ma'am, I would like to, it would be great if somehow we can collaborate with you to launch some hackathons at STEAM Varsity to raise awareness about virology and challenges around world, and seek innovative ideas to student to solve them. If you can, we can collaborate like on this.
Thank you, Monica ji, and all these little angel who are there on the screen. I was so impressed with all the great questions. Even in very high scientific committee, people can ask such beautiful questions. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best for a very bright future. Whatever you are dreaming, you should get it. Monica Z, thank you so much for invitation, and please do reach out to me anytime, whatever support you need from us, and we will be glad to help you.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll connect you on email.
Thank you so much, all of you. Wish you a very happy day, Women's Day, and you should be always happy, not just on one particular day. I best wishes to all of you.
Everyone, audience, and our G.E.M.S team, a big round of applause to our brilliant girls. So, ma'am, we'll take a moment to take a group photo. Everyone, please turn on your video now at least. Cheers. Thank you so much. And once again, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.